Hello and welcome. It's This Is Going Well, I Think, with David Cooper, and I am David Cooper. It's This Is Going Well, I Think, the show where no one's listening, no one cares, the show where every episode's the last episode. I got started on the show very early today because later on, I'm heading out to the airport. I'm visiting Canada, but because I worked on this show early, I apologize in advance for my inarticulateness. Did I get that word right? You get what I'm trying to say. And a bit of admin work here. I'm out tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, back on July the 29th. I am looking forward to hearing you. And by hearing you, I mean you hearing me, if you choose to listen. As always, I can't force you to play this show because I am not your mother. On to today's lineup, we got a fantastic one. In about 10 minutes' time, science expert Dan Riskin will be here to talk about the rise in car thefts and how he lost his license plate. It's a hilarious story and one of government incompetence. You're going to love it. After that, sexual health and consent educator Samantha Bitty is going to be here, and things are going to get spicy as we do sex, etc. with her. Our discussion topic: how early childhood sexual shame informs us as sexual adults with our kinks and whatnot. After that, Tony 5, foreign correspondent, to do what can only be described as a morning odyssey. An interview with Tony while I'm deliriously tired. We'll talk about my trip to Canada, and Tony is particularly interested in how many black friends my father has. Tony happens to be black himself. I'm only telling you this because it provides context. And quite frankly, two white dudes sitting around discussing that, kind of odd. Finally, it's travel. We'll go over the latest hilarious headlines from the travel industry with a vacation expert. That's the show. I'm looking forward to doing it. So let's jump in. But first, this. All right, buckle up. We'll go to the deep blue sea to a story that involves sharks. Terrifying sharks on cocaine. That's right, sharks off the coast of Brazil are currently being tested for the sweet Colombian powder, and they are testing positive. You got that right. As for the particular species, these aren't just any sharks, they're Brazilian sharp-nosed sharks, and they're apparently partying harder than a bunch of crypto bros with Ferraris in Miami Beach. Scientists recently found very high levels of cocaine in the muscles and the livers of these sharks. Now, they're not sure how these underwater predators are getting their fix, but there are a few theories that are floating around. One idea, the cocaine is coming from the drainage of illegal drug labs. Another, a bit more glamorous. It could be untreated sewage from drug users. So the next time you flush after partying all night in Brazil, remember, you might be contributing to a very different kind of Shark Week. Now, there's also the possibility that these sharks are munching on little bundles of cocaine that are either lost or dumped by smugglers when the cops try to apprehend them. I suppose by cops I mean Coast Guard here, but unlike Mexico and Florida, Brazil doesn't usually see that many bales of cocaine floating around. So I got to admit, this one's a bit of a head scratcher. Either way, these sharks are giving a whole new meaning to the term predator. Cocaine predator. I guess the movie Cocaine Bear did this already. But it's funnier with sharks, and this is happening in real life. One exotoxologist interviewed about this mentioned that the cocaine would be affecting the shark's behavior. Cocaine targets the brain, so just imagine sharks with the added behavior of the scariest drug users, maybe even the roughest dealers you've ever seen. The drug trade gets rough, these sharks are going to be rougher. Sign me up to never scuba dive again. And by the way, I've never scuba dived. I won't. And stuff like this is why. I've seen what swims in the ocean, and quite frankly, fish are peeing in there all the time. The researchers who thought it would be a good idea to test these sharks fished them out near Rio de Janeiro, and they found cocaine levels up to 100 times higher than other marine animals. Every single shark that they tested was positive for the drug. You might say that these sharks are hooked. It's almost like narcotics are addictive. Now, the long-term effects of a shark cocaine binge admittedly isn't fully known, but scientists suspect it might be damaging their eyesight and affecting their hunting skills. So the next time you see a shark wearing a muscle tee, listening to techno music, and wearing glasses to help them see, now you know why. And the white powder nose candy found in their system may or may not make them aggressive. It's just not well understood, but it's thought to maybe reduce their life expectancy. So, not too much different than humans. With us, it's a sad, slow swim to rock bottom. With sharks, who knows? So there you have it. Cocaine sharks are out there. They've been found, they've been tested, and they're turning the ocean into their personal rave. And you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
David Cooper bothering you again.
Hi, Dani. It's another slow news day. I told a story about cocaine sharks, but I couldn't find much else out there, so I thought I would call you.
How is it a slow news day when there has been breaking news almost every day since, the assassination attempt?
Yeah, that's boring news. That's political news. I'm thinking fun news. I just haven't found the good stuff. Me and Tony have been covering the boring stuff. Well, I guess it's not that boring, but fun stories is what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I am going away for 3 days. Are you going to miss me?
You don't live anywhere near me. I never see you anyway. Yeah, I'm going to miss you a lot.
Miss working with me. Jesus. Dani, you're the producer of this show. Have you got anything we can talk about for the next few minutes? I'm desperate here.
I do, actually. Totally unrelated to anything, but it's 8 phrases that selfish people use every day, according to psychology.
Uh-oh. I'm going to definitely do all of them.
Are we taking bets, or?
I bet I have at least 3 out of the 8. How many did you have, or you don't know yet?
You think you only have 3?
Okay, 5.
Okay, you think I've read it? I don't prepare for stuff like this. Okay, here we go. Number 1, I, me, my.
What is this? Those are just pronouns that everyone uses. So yes, I do that. I don't know that that's a great marker of someone who's selfish. What's the next one?
No, but it is if you use I a lot, like when you send, if you start sentences with I all the time, that can come off as selfish.
I think this list is stupid. Number 2.
Number 2, you should have.
I try not to do that one. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't do that one very often. Number 3.
3 is I deserve.
No. I'm the opposite of I deserve. I deserve nothing. I deserve no recognition. I deserve no support. I deserve no one listening to the show. And then when somebody does support me or recognize me or listen to my shit, then it's always a blessing. So I don't feel like I do that.
Okay, well, now this just kind of got a bit sad. Number 4, if only you.
No, I don't do that. No, I've been to way too much therapy to do that.
Okay. Number 5, I don't care. Oh, you do that one.
Oh, I do that one a lot. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, this one too. Number 6, I can't be bothered.
I mean, yeah, I usually say I don't give a shit, but same difference. Yeah, I do those too. For sure, I do those too.
Same thing, yeah. They just cleaned it up for the article. Number 7, you're too sensitive.
I have been known to do that, although I try not to, especially with arguments with my girlfriend. It's a bad impulse that I try not to engage with, but I do sometimes say that. I recognize I shouldn't say it, and it's my problem when I say it, but I do that.
Ooh, yeah, don't tell her she's being... And the other thing is, never tell someone who's upset to calm down. That will give you the opposite effect. Don't say calm down to somebody.
I once heard a great Canadian, and that's Captain Glenn from the TV series Below Deck Sailing Yacht, say, never in the history of calming down has someone, when they're told to calm down, calm down. And I thought that was a beautiful line.
That is very true. Okay. Number 8, that's your problem.
Yeah, but I don't say it to be selfish. I think sometimes people think their problems are other people's problems.
But if you care about the person, then isn't their problem also sort of your problem too, if you care? I mean, this isn't some stranger sharing their problems with you down there. If someone's sharing their problems with you, they probably know you. They're either a friend or a family member.
I think I'm happy to hear somebody's problem, and I'm happy to say your feelings are valid. You can't control your feelings, but you have to understand the reason you're upset is all within your control. It's not the other party's problem. Your feelings are valid. I'm listening, but your problem is your own. I think that's a valid, no?
Wow. So when you are unloading on your therapist and your therapist responds with, that's your problem.
I would just burst into laughter if he did that. I would love that.
Same. I wish we could have your therapist on the show. That would be enlightening, but...
There is no fee too low Too high? There is no fee that he would accept for that pleasure, I think is what I'm trying to say.
We would need to book him for hours to unpack the chaos and everything that is David Cooper, but okay.
This was so much better than lousy, slow news in the weird and offbeat news section of the paper, not the current events section. Dani, thank you for your time. Looking forward to doing the show, and we'll catch you on Monday when we're back, July 29th.
Okay, sounds good. Ciao.
Up next, science communicator Dan Riskin for a segment we call the Science Appliance. Dan is going to talk about car theft and a recent incident. Dan's story involves public officials acting hilariously. You're not going to want to miss it. We are here with...
Who, though? Who are you with?
We're just... Why am I so bad at my job? We are here with Dan Riskin, science expert for the Science Appliance, a weekly segment about sciences and appliances.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been a good week. I was away this week. I went to the island of Anguilla.
Anguilla. I always thought it was Antigua. And Antigua?
It is. Antigua is Antigua, and Anguilla is in Anguilla. They're two different places. Anguilla is this tiny nothing of an island, 25 kilometers long, 5 kilometers wide, shaped like an eel. Anguilla is the Latin for eel. So that's why it's called Anguilla, because it's shaped like an eel. And it's a British protectorate, or what, I don't know what they call it, but it's got a governor from, like, we have a governor general in Canada. They have a governor. They fully have somebody from the UK that just goes there and is the boss. And I bumped into them twice because it's a small place. And saw a bat, saw hermit crabs, saw geckos, saw tarantulas, saw fish. Saw...
I know. I'm so scared of fish.
Fish. Fish.
Do you read this one about the cocaine sharks off the coast of Brazil? I did it earlier in the show.
I don't know anything about the cocaine sharks.
Oh, they found sharks that tested positive for cocaine. They think it was either drug runners dumping their cocaine in the ocean or maybe runoff from some lab. Or
who tests a shark for cocaine, and how is that not the sequel to Cocaine Bear?
My thoughts exactly in my musings of the story. Is Antigua and
Anguilla.
Anguilla, is that like Dominica and Dominica?
Right, or Guyana and Guyana and British Guyana, which is now Belize.
Let's call the whole thing off.
This is not my forte for sure, but I do know Anguilla. I know it well, and it is a lovely little place, and we just had a lovely time. I was there, my brother was there, and we have fairly big families. Each of us has 3 kids and a partner, so that's 10 people right there. And then my sister was there and my dad. And oh my gosh, it was a big thing. So we were hanging out and we had a great time. But I'll tell you, here was the thing. I like optimizing, right? I really like to optimize. So the question is, how do we get to the airport and how do we get home from the airport? There's 5 of us, right? But the kids are free on the UP Express or whatever. So like, I think they're free anyway. So do I take transit?
That's the train from Toronto Airport to downtown Toronto? Or
Yeah. Do I take the train? Do I take a taxi / a limo? Because that's kind of what they do now. It's the black town car thing with a flat rate. Or do I park my van for a week? And I did the math, and for parking my van for a week was going to be $180. So I was like, I'll do that. It's not a week, it was 8 days. So $180 versus going each way in a car, which is going to be $100 each way. So that's $200. So I saved $20. So I might as well take my own car, right?
Right.
Wrong. Don't ever do that.
What, they got you on some hidden fee or something?
They got me on the hidden steal your license plate while you're in the parking garage at Pearson trick. Because here's what happens. Toronto has this minor problem with people stealing cars. They weren't going to steal my minivan because my minivan is a piece of junk and it looks like it's been used, and it has been used, and it shouldn't be stolen. It's mine. Don't steal it. But what they do is they go to the parking garage where people have left their cars for weeks on end, and they steal license plates off them because nobody's going to notice their license plate's been stolen because they're not even at their car and it's parked in this parkade. So anyway, the front license plate got stolen off my car, and presumably somebody who steals cars put it onto a stolen car so that as they drive around Toronto, they don't set off any detectors with a stolen license plate.
But wouldn't a cop... automatic detectors, you mean?
They have automatic detectors now that are always looking for stolen license plate numbers. So they have a database of these stolen license plate numbers, right?
And I guess they might have a buddy case the joint every morning and be like, van's still there, plate's still good,
Yeah, totally, they could if they were really on top of things. Or it's just like, you know what, we're less likely to have trouble as we try to run this car up the 407 and out of town. Like, why not just get dinged for a different... Oh, that reminds me, I have to change my 407 info because I'm going to get dinged on the 407.
And we're back with the 407 info updating show where we take science educators and sit with them while they...
And we talk about the 407. Listen, here's the point. Here's the point of what I'm getting at. So I didn't realize my license plate was stolen, obviously, until I got back. And then like a day later, I happened to look at my van from a different angle. And I was like, hey, I used to have a license plate and I don't have one now. I still have one on the back, but I don't have one on the front. So I set things into motion. And then I'm like, okay, I got to get a new license plate, but do I have to report it stolen? Probably I could do that online, right? I could probably just go to the police website and report my stolen license plate. That would probably be helpful for them because then they can be watching for that license plate number. But here's where I start getting angry. There are so many disincentives for you to tell the police what about your stolen license plate number. It is out of control. First of all, I go to the Toronto website for the police and it says, was your license plate stolen in Toronto? Because if it wasn't stolen in Toronto, you can't report it to us. You have to report it to whatever jurisdiction you're in. And my car was parked in Mississauga at the airport, which is Peel region or some other region. I can't remember. I think it's Peel. So then I go to the Peel police website and they're like, oh, you can't report this online because it's so important. We have to take a report. You have to phone this number. So I phone the number and then she's like, this is so important. You have to come in. And I'm like, you want me to drive all the way across Toronto with my one license plate so that I can go to a police station so I can tell you that my license plate was stolen? She says, yes. And I said, I don't want to do that. What if I just go to the Service Ontario and say I lost it and just don't file a report? She's like, well, you really should file a report so that we can keep track of this. I'm like, well, you should have a thing on your website. So then I'm like, you know what? I don't technically know that it was stolen at the airport because maybe it was stolen in front of my house. I don't know for sure. So I'm just going to go to the Toronto police because it's down the street from my house. So I go down there and I go into the place and I swear to you, Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Rec, she is the person behind the counter. She is right there. And like, I walk in, she just looks at me with these dead eyes like, ugh. And then she walks over as slowly as a sloth can move. And then she's like, well, can I help you? And I said, my license plate was stolen. I would like to report it. She's like, well, can you stick around this today? I was like, stick around today? You want me to be here all day to just tell you my license plate number? And she's like, yeah, because a police officer has to take the report. I'm like, why? Why can't I just fill it in online? She's like, well, it's a license plate.
That's also not an answer. Why can't I do it online? Oh, because it's a license plate. That's a non-answer answer.
Because the license plate, it's so important. They really want to make sure they get it right. Or like a police officer writing it in their notepad is going to be better than me filling in a form online. Anyway, so she says they could be anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour and a half before a police officer's in here. I'm like, you think I'm going to sit here for an hour and a half so that I can tell you No, I'm just going to Service Ontario and I'm just getting a new plate. So I went to Service Ontario and I told them I lost it, which I did technically.
Yeah.
It was lost.
Yeah.
It's lost.
It's lost.
And
you don't have it.
And here's this opportunity for the police to track this bloody thing. And they've disincentivized me like 8 different ways. Like, are they actively trying to help the police or the car robber people steal cars?
Apparently so. I mean,
apparently so.
The news would have you believe that it's the easiest place in the world to steal cars. And I don't know what to think. I don't live in Toronto, but hearing your story, it does sound very easy.
I almost stole a car just to celebrate getting a new license plate. That's how easy it is and how easy it is to get that. Because I tell you, and then you go into Service Ontario, this is the last straw. I'm already like, the system's broken, right? I'm already like so mad about how the system's broken. And then I go to Service Ontario and this doesn't work and that doesn't work. And of course, anytime you go to the DMV anywhere, it's bad. But they've got like the Service Ontario by my house. It literally, there's this email address written all over the walls. Like they have these signs like printed on paper. Somebody took the time to print it on an 8.5 by 11 and tape several of these around. Doesn't say what that email is for. Presumably it's to complain. I don't know, but it's just all over the place. And the email address at the DMV, at the government office is serviceontariodanforth@hotmail.com. Hotmail, David Cooper.
Are you sure it just wasn't some fraudster posting it around and they're too lazy to take it down?
Yeah, exactly. Somebody who was waiting in line just put up a bunch of things and like maybe it's a person collecting complaints so they can collate them and then send them to the government. I don't know, but between the police and Service Ontario and other things, I just was really I just really was like, I should have taken a limousine to the airport. Never park your car at the airport in Toronto. Ever.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. I saved $20 doing that.
Are you going to get a vanity plate?
No, I already got a new plate. It was $59. It's not a great number. It looks like a Roman numeral. It's got all the letters are Roman numeral letters, but their order is one that cannot exist in a Roman numeral. It drives me nuts.
That sounds frustrating. I had a vanity plate in California on my motorcycle because I don't own a car. It was unfunny, UN funny, and it was very good because it didn't really make sense. Like, oh, I'm not funny, or this plate's not funny. And people would always come up to me when I park my bike and they'd be like, I get it. Like, that's a really good joke. I'm like, but what is the joke?
Can you explain it to me, please?
For me, the joke was people laughing as if they got it. And it's like, no, I just chose something because I thought it was stupid and maybe a comment that I'm not funny. There's some joke that people would always think they were getting that I still don't know.
Right.
Yeah. That's what's unfunny about it.
Maybe, that might be some of your best comedy work right there. That's funny. Because what you did is you created this funny situation out of unfunniness. I like the juxtaposition. It's very good, very powerful.
When I moved to New York, they only allow 6 characters on bikes. So I, of course, being a lifelong sufferer of IBS, I got the license plate Poo Man, Pooman.
Were they okay with that?
No. 5 months later, they send me a refund check. Okay.
No way. So you got to have it for 5 months. And
I ordered it. They never sent it. And the order was just left pending for 5 months. They send me a refund check with no explanation, but it's a check from the Comptroller's Office of New York City, which I don't even know what that means, but it's this official looking check. Kind of looks like a government treasury check, but it's not. But it's a real official check.
Yeah.
And in the memo of the check from the state of New York's Comptroller Office, it just says Poo Man. And with checks now, you can deposit them on the phone. So I still have
this. So you
this.
can keep it.
Yeah, I have.
Yes.
It's almost as good as the plate.
That is not unfunny. That is unfunny. That is better than Poo Man. Wow, you really took it up a notch. I thought you'd peaked with unfunny, but your Poo Man is pretty good. I lived in Rhode Island, and in Rhode Island, you have 5-digit license plate numbers. They're just 5 digits, but there are more than 10,000 cars in Rhode Island, so they just reuse some of the numbers sometimes. So my friends get like this pile of tickets for speeding and stuff, and so they go into the DMV and they're like, hey, or they go to the police. I forget where they went, but they went in and they were like, we have all these tickets, but this is not us. And the person looked at them and said, yeah, just throw them out. It's okay. It's probably the other one. Like that was the official government response in Rhode Island. That place is very strange.
God bless America. We're here with Dan Riskin. It's the Science Appliance. We are currently in the appliance part of the show.
The license appliance.
Yeah, I mean, a car's an appliance of sorts, the large one.
Sure.
An appliance for moving families. We'll be back with science, including... No, I'm trying to think of a good one.
Yeah, what is a good one? I haven't even looked at my list in a while.
We'll be back with more science stories. And by more, I mean we'll start doing them in a moment. It's the Science Appliance with Science Appliance. It's pretty good. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Dan Riskin, Daniel K. Riskin.
No, that's bad. Riskin.
I started working on this show real early, because I got a flight today, okay? My accuracy levels in my speaking are at an all-time low. Dr. Daniel Kenneth Riskin, PhD, bat biologist, period.
Yeah, that's me. Science. Hey, you got any more car stories?
Yeah, so I used to park my motorcycle in front of my apartment in San Francisco, and...
As you would. That's the most convenient place to put a motorcycle if you've just come home.
Exactly. And San Francisco is known for its car thefts. Now, it's not as bad as Fox News would have you believe, that it's the zombie car thief apocalypse, but I think it is the worst city for theft in the United States, or at least it was during the pandemic and just before. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, it's a motorcycle, not a car. What does this have to do with car theft? So I parked my bike in front of my house, and I have what's called an exposed spark plug. Right in the engine block, there's this kind of like plastic wire. It's a plug-looking thing, and it plugs into the tip of a spark plug. It's the other end of the plug, I suppose. Great. Who cares? I get up one morning, the plastic end is removed, and somebody has just shattered my spark plug. It looks like they took a pair of pliers to it and broke it. Left the plug in my bike.
Why?
I didn't know any better, and I'm an idiot with bikes. So I wheel the thing to the motorcycle shop with my friend who's much stronger than me. It's like a mile away.
I assume it's uphill because you're in San Francisco and everything's in a ridiculous slope there.
No, Mission District. One of the few flat areas, believe it or not.
Oh, Well, that's handy.
Nice tangent, though. I like the way you're going with that. So my big, strong friend rolls my bike to the shop. I get them to replace it. They show me how to do it on my own. I don't know why. This happens 3 more times, and I do the plug replacement, which lowers it from like $100 to $9 or something. And then finally, I'm in the bike shop. I'm like, why does this keep happening? It's not like they want the plugs. They're just like damaging my bike for no reason. And here was the explanation. And this is science, actually. Spark plugs, what do they do, Dan? They spark.
Spark.
Okay, what is a spark but 2 electrical whatevers and a little whap between the 2 electrical whatevers? That's the definition of a spark in the most technical science terms, I would say.
That is the most, actually, that is what we're trained to say when asked about sparks. During my PhD, that's like week 3.
So spark plugs, the electricity goes in and out of them, right? Makes sense? You with me still?
Yeah, I'm still with you, I think.
You would want something to prevent that electricity from going everywhere else in the bike, which is made of metal, including the engine, which is made of metal. So you want an insulator covering the wires leading to the spark plug and the spark plug itself, except for the very tip, which is in the engine generating the spark. What's an amazing insulator that can tolerate a lot of heat? Ceramic. Are you with me?
Okay.
So
ceramic.
The cover, really the body of the spark plug, is just really high quality ceramic. You with me?
Yeah.
So what people were doing was taking a pair of pliers, shattering the ceramic, and there'd be shards everywhere, just loose on my engine block.
Why would they? I'm still lost as to what I'm trying to connect the dots and get one step ahead of you, and I'm still just one step behind you at every pace.
See if you can get it here. What did I first start talking about San Francisco being known for?
How sweaty your balls were.
No, car thefts.
Oh, yeah, car thefts, yeah.
Okay. Do you regret saying that because you have this clean image, Dan Riskin? I don't talk about sweaty balls.
Yeah. But you did say that. You did say, if you rewind, you can get... You might edit it so it sounds like you didn't say that, but I heard you say it. That's how you started this whole segment.
So if you want to grab something from a car, let's say an iPhone, let's say a stereo, you would want to smash those windows. That's the best way to do it. Smash and grab, they call it.
And is ceramic good for cutting glass?
There you just got it. So tempered glass, automobile glass, is incredibly hard. That's why they show videos of people like drowning in cars. They can't break the window. They're trying to kick the window in as they're drowning. Can't do it
unless you have one of those things made out of ceramic.
The tip of those things to break windows in an emergency it's just a little ceramic. So if someone who wants to score an iPhone out of a car, or maybe they got their mark, they're like, there's a car I want to rob. If they're walking around with a crowbar or even one of those window smashers, cops are going to arrest them, and that's like, accessories for a crime or whatever, or
something bad.
So they get their mark, they find a motorcycle, they shatter the spark plugs, they get the shards of ceramic, which are called ninja rocks in the criminal scene. They literally just lob them at a car window. Like, you don't even have to chuck it hard.
No.
Yeah.
Shut up. And it breaks the car window? Well, we got to do this. We got to try that.
And it shatters the car window almost silently. It's also wild. So my bike was being used as a accessory to rob automobiles because of its exposed spark plugs. Wild.
Ninja rocks?
That's the story, and it has a little bit to do with science and hardness and shattering. And I'll shut up. Was it an interesting story now that I've told it for 5 minutes? Maybe, maybe not.
I've just pulled up YouTube videos of people breaking spark plugs in a vise to make ninja rocks. And now, come on, throw it. Oh yeah, here we go. He's throwing it at a window. Let's see. I'm watching it. Here it comes. Whoa! No way, dude, it really works. They threw the thing at the window. It just shattered instantly. That is amazing. This is the most interesting thing I've learned all day, and I really thought I'd learned a lot today already.
They are the size of a pebble, a small pebble. And so they're the perfect thing.
Have you heard them at people? What happens to them? They die? They instantly vaporize?
Yeah, they instantly shatter. No, I imagine they would cut you real right.
Yeah, I bet they would.
Now, it's illegal to have ceramic shards on you in California. They're categorized as burglary tools, but honestly, it looks like a tiny little rock. Plus, you could just drop it. So you could be a really good car robber with nothing on you, just minding your own business, walking the street. You got nothing on you to indicate that you're a criminal. You see a motorcycle, take a pair of pliers. You can walk around with a pair of pliers, whatever. People do that, maybe you're a tradesman or something.
Do you think pliers are going to be strong enough to break the ceramic? They were using a vise in that little video that I saw.
Very easy. Maybe they just grab them and shatter it. Yeah. Wow. Yep. That's it. Ninja rocks. Now you know about them. They are illegal to have on you in California and Washington. States are making it. It's so funny. It's like those whipped cream chargers, like whippets that people huff the nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
To have it with a whipped cream machine is fine, but like the cartridges themselves to use it and open them to use them as drugs is somehow illegal. It's kind of like that. Like you could have a spark plug on you, not a crime, but if you have shattered spark plugs on you, it is a crime. Sort of a weird, dichotomy.
Well, it's kind of like if you're walking down the street in your clothes, it's not a crime, but if you're walking down the street without your clothes, it is a crime.
Yeah, or you're holding your clothes in a bag, but you're fully naked. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's even better.
That is my car story. Was it a waste of time? Maybe, but here we are.
No, you saved the best for last, like you always do. And we're not even done.
Should we talk science?
But yeah, let's talk science, sure. Listen, I thought this AI thing was pretty neat. So scientists, how much time do we have left in this one?
Almost none. And I wanted to brag about something instead of you going into AI.
Oh yeah, okay, go ahead, brag. We'll talk about AI next. Tune in for that, kids. Okay, go ahead.
Super synchronizers.
Yeah.
I interviewed someone who was one of the authors on the paper yesterday.
Did you really?
I feel like I always do this to you.
I love when you do this. Wait, I want to know, did you hear about the study from me and then reach out to them?
I don't know, because I think
No, I heard it from Dani, from your producer. She gave it to me.
Oh.
And then I took it and you took it. So we both got something out of it. So it's amazing.
Yeah, but sometimes you blast your weekly stories at my producer, and then she sends them to me as if you.
Yeah.
So
as if you didn't know they were from. Yeah. But this time she found that and sent it to me, and she sent it to you, and she sent me a nasty email about how I didn't use one of her stories that she sent me last time. So now we're gonna be good. She's gonna listen to this, and she's gonna be like, "Yes, that was so good that both of us independently did it." How was the conversation with the author of that?
Pretty good. I mean, she did like all of the talking. I just kind of got out of her way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind interviews like that. But she just sort of went through it. I asked one question that she liked. I'm like, okay, do you understand the mechanism by how people's bodies synchronize? For those who have no idea what we're talking about, some people will like blink at the same time, their heart beats at the same time, they move the same way when they get close to each other, and those people are better romantic matches. In fact, when that happens, you're more attracted to the other person than you would be had that not have happened. And I sort of said, is the mechanism by which organisms, quote unquote, synchronize understood? And her answer was like, not really, basically. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand how somebody blinks in synchrony with somebody else, but it's interesting to me. What they were measuring in that study was skin conductance, right? So they were wearing like wristbands that measure how much you sweat, and that's like an index of how much emotion you're feeling, right? Like when you imperceptibly release a little more sweat when you get worked up, like when you're nervous about something or whatever. And they were looking at how that synchronized between the two people. And so, like, if you were a psychopath and trying to make people like you and trying to synchronize with everybody you talk to, you could blink and you could move your arms in synchrony with them. But it's weird to think that you could actually like pick up on how much they were sweating. Like, it's an imperceptible signal, but maybe it reflects some other thing that is perceptible, and you manage to mirror that. It's really interesting.
Science Appliance, Dan Riskin. Dan, thanks for being here today. I appreciate your time.
Hey, it was a pleasure. I hope we get to talk soon.
Me too. Up next, things are going to get saucy. Things are going to get racy on Sex, Etc. with Samantha Bitty. Our topic, how can early childhood shame associated with sexual experiences then cause our grown-up selves to develop kinks, to develop unusual preferences? It's going to be spicy, and you're not going to want to miss it. Samantha Bitty up next. Sex, Etc. is the name of what we're about to do with sexual health and consent educator Samantha Bitty. How's that for an inspired introduction, Samantha?
I loved it.
It's an inspired segment with an inspired individual, that being, of course, you.
Thank you so much.
Samantha joins me from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, North America, Earth. Local solar system with sun, Milky Way, local group of galaxies, universe. Are you rolling your eyes into the back of your head right now?
I'm just thinking also Turtle Island.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's contained by Earth, is the Turtle Island?
Well, Turtle Island is North America.
Oh, yeah.
Or North America is Turtle Island.
I like both.
Yeah. And then on Earth and in the solar system, as you said.
So they claim. I mean, some people think the Earth is flat.
You know, I would accept anything at this point. We're in a simulation, Earth is flat, whatever. The moon was full the other night and I was thrust into chaos.
It's crazy that the moon rotates around its own axis the same speed it rotates around the Earth, which is a nerdy way of saying the same face of the moon is always facing the Earth. Like we never see the other side unless we send a Meshuggah satellite up there. I don't know why I described the satellite as being a Meshuggah. I guess because of all the privatization of space. I don't want to get into a big thing about space, but it's crazy that we never knew what the other side of the moon looked like until like, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago kind of thing. Maybe 50, 60, who knows?
I love that. I think some things should remain a mystery, but fine.
Should the connection between shame, sexual shame at a young age, and kink at an older age remain a mystery? Because I feel like, without giving away too much, because I don't want to identify the other party, I was 5, maybe 6, playing with a friend at the house, and I got the idea that I should ask the friend to sit on my face. Wearing clothes, but I just, for whatever reason, I'm like, we were on a couch. I'm like, why don't you sit on my head? And she's like, sure, whatever. She did. So there we were. My brother used to like tackle me a lot. Maybe it was my 6-year-old age, kind of like reclaiming being pinned down. So there we were on the couch wearing clothes. And I may, who cares? Kids get naked and they're kids. But I wasn't naked and neither was my friend. She's sitting on me, her butt is on my head. And then the parents come in and I get chewed out. Disgusting. Like I get in trouble. I didn't even know what I was doing. It's one of my earliest memories. I don't really remember my childhood. When people say, oh, remember your grade 2 teacher? I don't even know where I went to school in grade 2, It's like a blur until maybe 6th grade and mostly till last week. And honestly, to this morning. Even right now. But so this happens, and I have this memory of being yelled at, and I'm like, well, I didn't really understand what I did wrong. And to be honest, as an adult, I didn't do anything wrong. What they should have said is, David, honey, get so and so, stop sitting on David. If they wanted to stop, that's where it should have ended. That's the discipline. Hey, maybe stop sitting on David's head. In a way that appears sexual to adults.
Ugh. Fast
forward 20 years later, homeboy likes being sat on. It's a thing. It was shame at a young age, and now it's a part of it runs deep, and as a consenting adult with another consenting adult, it is a position that I'm fond of. I'll leave it at that. That happened, and so I know the power of childhood shame connected to adulthood interest. Kink. I don't even know if that's a kink. That's pretty vanilla, but still. They say that the young person who plays under the dinner table and gets told not to and like plays with the mother's shoes becomes a foot fetishist. I don't know that link is true, but that's kind of the stereotypical link. That's my rant. I'm glad you let me get it out because I'm sure your thoughts are more put together and more observant, and you have much more knowledge in this area. But that's what I want to talk about. Shame at a young age and how it informs us as sexual adults.
First of all, I am like flush. I am absolutely flush. That was basically smut. So
did I give away too much? I definitely protected the other party, which was my main interest. I don't mind sharing my details, but I just, got to protect the other party.
My goodness. Yeah, I just woke up. But first of all,
you need to splash some cold water on your face.
First of all, I think your segue was impeccable.
I'm on fire today.
If I can start there. Secondly, just to like pause for a second, because I'm sure there are folks listening who are parents themselves and they're like, yeah, like kids are going to do, weird stuff regardless. Like they're like discovering their bodies. It's like non-sexual, maybe it is sexual, whatever it is. And a question that I often get asked is like, how do parents navigate those types of situations? Like if you find your child touching themselves, like whatever it is. And it's like the biggest thing that a parent can do to be like a sex positive environment as to not, shame or create dysfunction or dis-ease in a child around sex and sexuality is to check their own sex shame first. Like evaluate your own internalized shame narratives so that you don't project those onto children. And I feel like our generation of parents are, more adept. We have more resources, et cetera. But it's just another one of the ways that our generation of parents caused what I believe to be why we have such a robust kink community today.
Is that why Gen Zs are like considered? I mean, I don't know if it's true, but it runs around on TikTok, social media. You see the odd article like, "Oh, Gen Zs aren't getting busy as much. They don't really care about it." Is it because they had Gen X and millennial parents? Well, I guess Gen X parents who were like a little better about the stuff than baby boomers.
I mean, that's a really great question and something we may not know until, decades later. And we actually treat sex and sexuality with the regard and reverence that it deserves in terms of like identifying patterns and all of that. But like sexuality is as unique as each individual, right? So it's like sometimes those things are hard to calculate. But I would say that, yes, there certainly is. And like, I'm not a scientist. I'm not even a therapist. I'm not an anthropologist. I'm not whatever the like body of knowledge is to say like, yes, this makes this happen.
Yeah, you're not doing, peer-reviewed psychology studies. I get it, but we're just talking. We can't make these wide sweeping claims.
Yeah, anecdotally, certainly. And similar, whether it's shame or unhealed wounds, like, emotional wounds, trauma, kink is a fascinating tool to deploy in those situations to help resolve some of those feelings. And I think that, kinks and fetishes have their own little nuance. I once had someone say to me that they knew something was a fetish because it was like a cheat code for their hypothalamus or something in their brain where it was like, all of a sudden they're like, whoop, and that is the difference between like a fetish or like something you enjoy sexually. So, and whether those things were connected to, I mean, for that person it was latex. So I don't know where it came from, but
early hospital experience. I don't know. I'm like, yes, my parent and the parent of the individual for my 6-year-old experience was they acted wrong, but in a way they gave me a gift. I mean, it's the short version of why I'm sitting here talking to you today.
Right. And no, real. And, a gift to all of your partners, because I mean, face sitting for reference, I don't know if it's vanilla, but I would say that it is common.
Yeah, but some partners aren't into it. And it's like, well, what are you going to do? It's a tragedy, really.
What are you going to do?
Somewhere out there, there's someone who really enjoys that and they're partnered with someone who doesn't,
And this is one of the beauties of polyamory. Yeah.
Somewhere out there's a guy with a huge schlong, like the world's biggest, in that class. And he's partnered up with somebody who's got a thing for micro penises. And that's a tragedy. That's a tragedy.
I would agree.
All right, we're here with Samantha Bitty talking about how early shame can inform later adulthood sexuality. We'll be back with more of her in a moment. We're back with Samantha Bitty, sexual health and consent educator for our segment called Sex, Etc. ETC. Samantha, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
You put the E in ETC. Erotic, erogenous, education. I don't know what the E stands for.
Excellent. Egregious.
These are
extra.
Yep. Excellent, egregious, and extra. Those are 3 great E words for you.
There we have it. So again, I want to circle back. I really loved that story. I'm going to think about that in the future. But to the point about what we were kind of saying about, maybe there are these formative moments, shames, or again, like with traumas, etc., using present day sexual experiences to kind of replay and reclaim those moments may be something that we have varying degrees of what's the word I'm looking for, like awareness of, like conscious or unconsciously. we might be, replaying these things and doing these things. And I think that once we bring that into consciousness and use intention with it, it can be very fulfilling and healing. And the biggest thing I would do would be to encourage folks to ensure that they're participating in those types of activities with, as you said, other consenting adults.
Yeah.
And with the consent practices that you need to have in order to have a good time, because it's not just physical. It's not just our physical bodies participating in these acts. These are processes and things that are happening in our brains, and we need to be precious about those things. And I used to, in some regards, like there's a window, but I now find that in order for it to be as like effective and fulfilling, to kind of address those things, whether it's shames or wounds or whatever, it has to be in a very emotionally safe space. And that means that if something goes awry, right, if that shame gets triggered in a bad way or in an unwanted way, that whoever I'm participating with is able to hold that, and we're able to recalibrate and create safety around it. And so that's what I would say about that. Sorry, I've only had one coffee. We're early today.
No, it's great. Kinky sex. Let's move away from you, but more specific examples here. The kinds of things that you're not saying people need to, but you're saying for you, and it might be a recommendation. If you're going to do stuff that is kinky, you want to do it with a partner that you trust. And that means less casual kink, because it's harder to trust that person. What would be an example of something where it's best or for best for you, and you might recommend to others, though it's not a hard and fast rule? Pardon the pun. Yeah, I was like, I wish I hadn't have said that. But here we are, early in the morning. Like, what would be a scene or a kink or something specific that, like, best done with someone you trust?
Well, I mean, certainly anything that has, if it's physically, like if there's pain involved.
Pain, restraints, rope.
Pain, restraints. And again, I think it really is individual, like whatever, like if it's for you, if you're role playing or attracted to a scene because of some other like deep-seated stuff for yourself, then I think that, quote unquote, best practice would be to ensure that you're negotiating all of that ahead of time, and that you have a plan for if things don't go well. And let's say that you're someone who still really enjoys kinky casual sex, and you don't necessarily want to do all of the infrastructural work with somebody. Because look, like I don't have kinky sex right now because it takes a lot of like infrastructural work, and dating is hard and all of those things. Have a plan with perhaps someone else other than a partner, where it's like, you're going to be involved with somebody that you don't necessarily have all of those safety protocols in place for, but you still have this like need that needs to be met. Having a friend, a therapist, a counselor, whatever it is, so that you're making sure that you're taking care of yourself, even if your aftercare or like during or mid-care is not able to be fulfilled by someone that you're being sexually active with. And that's not like, that's not ideal, but I think that we have to set ourselves up for safety and success the best ways that we can.
I want to talk about aftercare. I want to go down a tangent here for the next 5 minutes, if you will.
Absolutely.
Can you define aftercare for me?
Certainly. So aftercare is the practices that we have in place for when we finished the sex parts of the sex we're having, if you want to say it. Like, I feel like it can be kind of fluid, but aftercare is the ways in which we take care of each other and ourselves. So for some people, that is physiological behavior. So snuggling, drinking water, like showering together, whatever it is. For some people, it is more psychological, like words of affirmation, like confirmations about feelings for each other, listening, chatting. Like, it can be really a lot of different things, but it is the intentional practices of once the sexual activity has concluded that kind of bring you back to, okay, now I'm going to re-enter the real life, right? As opposed to like smashy and then, oh, okay, I gotta head out.
So you might get into like a very kinky scene with spanking, and then the aftercare would be like, well, we cuddle after, or I say it's all right, or whatever the couples, whatever the people engaging in the scene beforehand do to kind of be warm and come together and just kind of chill out afterward. That'd be an example of aftercare.
Sure. And I also am someone who like constantly advocates for aftercare with vanilla sex as well.
Sure.
The same way that we have, quote unquote foreplay, thinking of that as being the ways that we treat each other in between being sexually active, the aftercare or the time that we spend with intention after we've finished having sex is important, and nothing can affirm or like destroy a wonderful experience than how we treat each other after. Right. So you can have the best time with somebody, and then if they just like get up and leave, or they ghost you or whatever, it's like the way that you experience that experience. This is illiterate today. Like,
no, it's fine. You're doing fine, Samantha.
I don't even think illiterate is the right word. Like, I'm struggling.
Inarticulate, but I'm giving you a word.
Inarticulate.
I'm not calling you that word. I'm giving you a word. It's all right. It's early morning tapings for those listening. I got a flight tonight. I'm flying to Toronto tonight. I'm off the next week. And early morning tapings are tough. Don't you worry your little head off.
Oh my good golly. It's a good thing that we have so much time together that I know that I am actually an articulate guest on your show. But I'll finish by saying that how we treat each other, how someone treats us after, it completely changes the way that we view an experience that we had, for the like better or for the worse. Like, you could have had like a mediocre experience with somebody, and then the way they treat you after, you're like, wow, that was like really great. So I think that aftercare is important, whether you're having kinky sex, and people have broad definitions of kink, right? Whether you're having kinky sex or whether you're having quote unquote vanilla sex, very, very important. And also face sitting.
You can blame me. I disclose how my early childhood shame informed my adulthood interests. And I caught you off guard. I didn't realize that I was what I was doing until I saw your face.
I loved it. I wish everyone could have seen my face while you were telling me the story, but I'll finish with the tiny anecdote of that. As you know, I messed my knee up, and I couldn't like bend my knee for a really long time. And so like face sitting was kind of like off the table for me as like a person. And that's like my UVP, right? Like that was my unique value proposition.
Yeah, I Googled it while you said it.
Okay. Like if somebody wants to have sex with me, it's because that's typically the arena that they're interested in. So yeah, I was at a commission for a while, and
I'm sorry, Samantha. Yeah. Samantha Bitty, sexual health consent educator, sexual health and consent educator. There's an ampersand. That's a great word, ampersand. It's a great name for a child.
Mm.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate you. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, David.
The time has come for foreign correspondent Tony 5. Tony caught me very early in the morning, and you're about to hear what's going to happen next. I'll talk about my upcoming trip to Canada for a certain family member's birthday party, and Tony is very curious as to whether that family member has any black friends. Tony himself is black, because I feel like if I don't mention that, things will be weird. That's the placeholder theme music for our foreign correspondent, Tony 5, who joins me very early in the morning here while my brain is scrambled. Tony, welcome to the show.
David, it's always a pleasure to catch you early morning voice, early morning hair, early morning scum, I think they call it in the UK. But how are you?
I'm okay. I woke up and I thought I have a lot to do today, but one thing I haven't done yet, check into my flight. So I go to check into my flight. The first question they ask is, do you have an infant under 2 years old who will be sitting on your lap? I, of course, check yes.
Yep.
And now it's like, please go to the counter. I can't do anything. My reservation's locked. I can't check in. I can't get a seat. This is how my day starts, and now I'm talking to you. So things go from bad to worse. Here we are.
Wow. I mean, I could come over if you want me to sit on your lap.
Oh, that'd be nice. Are you under 2 years of age? Maturity level-wise, you are.
Correct, yeah. So where are you off to?
Toronto, Ontario, Canada, North America, Earth.
Lovely. And why are you going?
Oh, my dad is turning 75 years old tomorrow.
Wow.
He's having a gentleman's party. Is that
what they call a bar mitzvah? Yeah.
No, bar mitzvah's when you turn 13, Tony. So he's 75, slightly, a little bit. Wow, he's 62 years older than 73, 13?
Yeah.
1.
No,
man.
That's 83.
And he holds this party every year. It's for his male friends, which is very odd that the man has no women that he knows, I guess, other than my mother.
Miranda.
The first year he threw this party, he sent out an invitation, over email, but an image with him, younger, whatever. Yep. So Richard Cooper's gentleman's party was what it was called. And
is that Richard? So it is actually a gentleman's party, like a bachelor party.
No. He it's at a restaurant. So it's like a big restaurant, and he kind of rents out the bar area, and then people come and go while he holds court in the bar area.
Doing what? I'm like, this is curious. When you say party, what is it? Dinner? Do you just have dinner, or does he get up and make speeches? Does he do a little dance or a skit?
It's like at 5 or 6, and so it's like appetizers. I suppose if you were starving and had no dinner after, you could get by with eating. But like oysters would come out. I guess little mini sandwiches. I don't know.
Fancy
finger food. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I called my last girlfriend. Carry on. So then what?
Then, I haven't been in about 10 years or so, just because I lived in California, and now I live in New York, and this is in Toronto. But his first year, he sent out an Evite. What is this website, Paperless Post? Are you aware of this?
Yeah. I don't remember it, but I know Evites. They're all horrific. Carry on.
Why do people use this product? I'm like, how is this any different than just attaching an image to an email?
Correct, yeah.
Anyway, it gets sent 12 years ago. And it says, Mr. Cooper, well, it doesn't say Mr. Cooper, but Richard Cooper's gentleman party, no women, no children, no dogs.
No fun.
And it's just those three. And I remember my ex-wife being like, okay, like women and children are the same as dogs? Like, what is this, the Titanic?
That is really weird.
Yeah, maybe someone gave him flack for it because it was a little on the sexist side. And my mom usually does go, just like only for the beginning. So then the next couple of years, it was no children, no dogs.
No blacks.
It's never said that. In fact, he does have one. My dad does have one black friend.
Is he coming to? I need to see a picture to see that. That would be amazing.
I will I've actually seen his black friend there.
Is he a Jew? Is he a black Jew?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how they met.
How did they meet? That is one of the questions I need to find out from you for next time. 1, does he exist? 2, how did they meet? 3, what is their friendship like? Is it like mine and yours? Could this be a repeat of history?
I would say they're good friends, but they're not close friends. But he is around at like all the family things,
Does he have a Jewish wife?
No, his wife maybe she's Jewish. She's white.
Nice.
And then his son is biracial, and his son's pretty cool. I mean, if you're half white and half black, I mean, you're pretty cool. Just right out the bat, right?
Yeah. But if you're half black and half Jew, you're even cooler.
Yeah, I mean, think of it. Drake.
Is Drake Jewish?
Lenny Kravitz.
No, I didn't know that.
Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior.
Yes, half black, half Jewish. Carry on.
Those are the 3 that I know of.
Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
Drake,
yeah.
Drake's the rapper, isn't he?
Yeah, who I went to high school with.
Is that why you were friends? Because you were Jewish?
No, because he went to my high school, and we weren't really friends, more like acquaintances. But
did you go to his bar mitzvah?
No, I didn't. And he wasn't invited to mine. I didn't go to his school till I was 15, I think.
Oh, you should have invited him. That's a shame. We could have been rich.
Now it just says no dogs, because my friend will be there, because my friend is the son of his good friend. And, so there is children, and the women thing, I think he got called out for. So, no dogs, the invitation now says.
Just no dogs.
Yeah, and no gifts. I forgot. No women, no children, no dogs, no gifts. I screwed this whole bit up, but I've got morning brain right now.
I still think it's fantastic. You should put the copy of the invite on the podcast.
I would if it was
image.
me, but I feel like he values his privacy slightly more than me. So
just edit it all, just so that it says no dogs, no blacks, no Republicans or something, whatever.
Doesn't say that.
It should do.
But I will take a photograph with me, my dad's black friend, and you. That's funny. You know what? I fancied my parents, a little bit more racist than they are. Now, but now I got to give my dad credit.
No, that's fantastic. He was very pleasant to me when I spoke to him on the phone. He probably disinfected the phone afterwards, but in all fairness to him, he was very nice to me when I spoke to him.
He was. All my friends are black.
I know.
Because it's just you.
Yeah, I know. And you don't have any other friends.
Except I'm seeing Richard Crick, who was on the show today. And I'll be seeing...
my God, you're always banging on about him. Dan Riskin, my friend, he knows everything. Cricky Richie.
Cricky Rich.
One day, he's like my nemesis, right? One day you're going to have to get both of us in the same room together.
Oh, yeah, you guys have never met.
No, of course not.
I do like him.
I know you do. I feel very insecure about him.
You should.
Whenever you mention him.
He's got his PhD, which stands for Pretty Huge Dick.
Yeah.
He is handsome.
Is he a doctor? Is he genuinely a Dr. Dan Riskin?
He doesn't go by Dr. Dan Riskin. I feel like people who go by doctor when they're not a medical doctor, like, I get it if you're like a professor, sure, like your students
Academic,
come
yeah.
into your office hours, they should call you Dr. 5. But I feel like if you're like, I don't know, maybe you're a doctor in geography and you're working for a mapping company, and you make all your coworkers call you Dr. 5. Like, that's a douchey move.
There's a lot of people. It's funny, actually, you say that. In the UK, there is more of a pronounced call me doctor if you're any form of doctor, a doctor of breakfast cereals. They would put it on their credit card and stuff like that, and on their addresses and stuff.
You can in Canada, but I think most rational people, unless they're an academic, won't, unless they go back to academic settings.
Yeah, I agree. Academic settings, fine.
So, like, if I'm guest lecturing in the geography department, sure. It's like now introducing Dr. Cooper. But no, not in my daily life.
Not like, I don't know, booking an Uber. Uber for Dr. Cooper.
Or driving an Uber if you got your doctorate in philosophy or something.
Yeah, and then you're driving it. Who's getting picked up? Dr. Abdullah. Brilliant. I'd love it. Absolutely perfect.
So yes, he is. I do call him Dr. Dan Riskin, PhD, but that's just a mean joke. Not important. How are you doing? I feel like we've talked for like almost 10 minutes now and we've said nothing.
Well, David, that is the basis and the tagline of our show. No, I am actually going to the dentist shortly. I'm having a filling prep. I'm not a fan of the dentist, but the last few times I've been, I've actually fallen asleep with my mouth open, which is quite good and quite an achievement.
At my dentist, they have this television you can watch.
Oh.
While you're getting your teeth worked on.
Right.
And they have Netflix on there.
Oh.
And you can watch whatever you want.
Can you imagine you requested porn?
Well, I have to take my glasses off so I can't see shit.
Oh.
But you might even say my dentist is Netflix and drill.
That is
Excuse me.
Pretty decent. I like that, Netflix and drill.
I once told that joke 45 times in a show and then gave a funeral for the joke, which is also an episode on this podcast, so I really shouldn't be saying it. Not important. I really do feel like today, the last 10 minutes we've spoken, marks a new beginning in our relationship as broadcasters. I could not summarize the last 10 minutes for you. I could not.
We talked about your dad, and then, do you know what? I've even actually forgotten what we've spoken about. It's that bad content that it's erased itself from my mind.
Not only are you and I both dumber for having done this 10 minutes, the listener is now dumber. We'll be back with more stupidity with foreign correspondent Tony 5, where we'll talk dentists and what are we going to talk about?
Chill.
And we something else.
Drill, I guess. I don't know.
No, I mean like a new topic.
Oh, sorry. Presidents.
We did that yesterday.
Prime ministers.
Great. We'll be back with dentists and prime ministers. Can they be both? Who knows? We're here with Tony 5, foreign correspondent, to discuss dentists and prime ministers. Tony, do dentists exist?
No.
Tony, do prime ministers exist?
No. Next topic, David.
You wanted to talk about flights. I'm getting on a plane today.
Yeah.
I checked the wrong box while checking in, and now I can't check in online, which is so annoying. So now I have to go to the airport like 15 minutes early, wait at the counter. They're understaffed. They're dealing with this computer thing. I mean, it's been fixed, but I'm sure there's still people that are messed up and queues
Massive
and backlogs
backlog.
and all kinds of... That was a crazy outage. I talked about it yesterday with our guest Carmi, but just wild.
Oh my God, another person. Carmi Levy and Risky Dan. They're my friends. They all know stuff. Whatever.
Is there something I could be doing different, Tony?
Just stop talking to them. Be with me.
I'm just letting the listener know that we talked about it yesterday, because otherwise they're going to think to themselves, David, you talked about this yesterday. So I'm just letting the listener know that they're going to hear about it again, but it'll be a fresh and new perspective. Okay, that's all.
I feel jealous that you talk to other people. I don't like it. You should
Do
only
you want
talk
to be on
me.
the show for 2 hours a day? I don't think so.
But I also don't want you to talk to anybody else. I'm caught in between a rock and a hard place. I don't want you to talk to anybody else, but I also don't want to talk to you.
I mean, I do some of the show alone, but it's a lot of... The parts that I do alone are like a lot of work, I got to say.
I can imagine.
Because I gotta like write for them. I'm not good at just ranting, you know?
Right. You ever flown first class?
Yeah, sure.
You say that so effortlessly. Like, where have you flown first class to?
Well, I guess only once, technically.
Okay.
Because first class within North America, I used to get Virgin America flights first class. They were an extra like $40.
Okay, that's not first.
The chair's
like
slightly
proper.
bigger, and then they come by with snacks twice instead of once. Like, it's not...
No, I'm talking proper, like transatlantic first class. That's what I meant.
I flew on British Airways from New York to London last year.
Yeah.
Only there. Because I figured on the way back, you gain the time. You don't really need to sleep. But on the way there, on the overnight, if you don't sleep, you've ruined your next day. So I figured out the hack. If you're going to waste... Because I didn't pay for it. I used all my credit card points. If you're going to blow all your credit card points on a first-class flight, do it to Europe, not back.
Yes, agreed.
I flew Toronto. I flew New York to London first class. That was my first time and only time on real transatlantic, lay down seat, fancy meal, champagne. You know, I've only actually done that once, but I've flown like shitty within North America first class maybe 5 times.
So that's what, 7 hours, and you had a flat bed. Did you come on your own or with Miranda first class?
Miranda, she couldn't sleep. I was out like a baby.
Oh, see, that would be amazing. So, you know when there's turbulence, do they wake you up?
I think if it's really bad that they're putting the seatbelt sign on.
Yeah.
I think there's different classes of turbulence. There's a little bit of turbulence where the pilot's like, I don't want to get sued if someone trips. We'll turn the seatbelt light on, but the flight attendants are still up. And then there's flight attendants, you got to sit down turbulence. I think for that one, they do wake you up because I want to make sure you're strapped in well.
Of course, because I'm thinking first class, the stewardesses and flight attendants would just jump on top of you just to hold you down. You're paying that much money that they would take their lives for you, right?
It wasn't so bad. It was maybe double the points of third class economy or whatever.
Oh, right. But see, when I look online, it's like 5, 6, 7 times the price. It's so expensive.
Price-wise, it's like 5 times the price. But points-wise, if you have enough credit card points saved up, it's like 2 or 2.5. It's not 5. It's not a 5x multiplier.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, cool. And was it an enjoyable experience? Is it something that you would do, or do you think it was overrated?
Honestly, I think it's garbage. And I'll tell you why. If I told you could have that experience in a small room for 10 hours, I would trap you in a small room, put you in an arguably small and uncomfortable seat. It's just bigger than economy, and give you food that they claim is good, but it's just heated up in a weird thing and it tastes awful and it gave me diarrhea. And I get a glass of champagne. Great. I'm stuck in
And you get metal cutlery, David. That's the difference now. You don't get metal cutlery in economy class. You know that?
I'm just saying the experience of flying is brutally bad, and first class is marginally better. So everyone thinks it's great, but it ain't a great experience. Okay, it's not.
I agree. Yeah,
you're still kind of packed in pretty tight. You know, it's still an airplane. You're still stuck there. The food, yes, it says that it's good. It looks good. Like, oh, I'll have the short rib, but it's garbage. Like the food is not good.
Course. No, and like you said, it's 7 hours. When you think about it, the way it works out, it's not economical at all, is it? It's pointless. The only thing is I guess people do it to stay away from the smelly unwashed, I guess. It doesn't get you there any quicker. Did you get on a different entrance and exit?
Yeah, but like, I do feel like airlines. This is a rant that maybe I have too scrambled morning brain to go on, and tell me if you'd agree or disagree.
Okay.
But I think like airline classes are a very ugly reflection of our capitalist society. You've got the 2 or 3 classes, and then boarding groups on top of it.
Yes.
And like the airlines don't even care about the boarding groups that much. But like, if I'm in group 11 and you're in group 10, someone in line will be like, what group are you? And then they'll cut in front of you and they'll like act like they're better than you. It's like they're a mirror of societal classes, but 100 times worse. And
Correct.
you can pay to be better, but then if you don't pay, then you might have to get your bag checked because there won't be room in the bin.
Absolutely.
Like, it's such an awful experience, and it's like the ugliest reflection of societal classes, and it only benefits the airline because like if you want to feel better than the person who's in group 11, you got to join our loyalty thing and like either get a credit card and get ripped off by us, or fly with us one too many times. And then, you can pay double and then you get to board the plane first. Like, who cares? Who cares when you're boarding this thing?
You're all going to get on. It leaves at the same time. It lands at the same time, right? So whether you get on earlier or get off earlier or get on later, you'll still be going at the same time. Now in Europe, especially the short-haul European airlines, which are very, priced very well, they charge for like baggage. So unless you're taking like a napkin full of like luggage, literally like the smallest portion you could ever take, you're paying for everything extra. It's just, and their argument is the COVID and they lost a lot of money during that.
But they haven't returned to the original services.
No.
It's like they take away consumer benefits because of COVID, or because, our customers want low fare tickets, it's COVID, whatever. And then they never give it back. They're never going to eventually it'll be so bad that some new airline can come in and say, hey, we charge extra, but it's actually a pleasure to fly with us. But until that point happens, and maybe it'll never happen, I don't know. Yeah.
Do you have something in them? Well, you probably do, but I don't know whether you know the name of it. Shrinkflation? Do you have that?
Yeah, sure, yeah. It's gotten so bad. The funniest thing about shrinkflation to me is like once you make your crisps so small that there's a single crisp in the bag, where do you go from there? It's it's like some executive comes and they're like, oh, we can make money if we just decrease the size of our product. And then next year, another executive says that. And then next year, but eventually it's not like this infinite, it's not like price increases. Price increases you theoretically can do forever. Shrinkflation, there's like, eventually you're not, this great plan to make a little more money every year is going to fail and your consumer is going to hate you.
Eventually it's going to be a bag and just dust.
Agreed.
Just dust of crisp. Because I've noticed that, you're looking at, I happened to clean out my refrigerator the other day and I had a can of a drink and I bought another can of drink and I looked at the two of them. The drink was considerably smaller and it's one of those multi-packs that has the price on it. So the newer one was more expensive with less product. And I kept looking at it thinking, this is amazing. Yeah. This is absolutely incredible. And you see now people are struggling. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in England, people are struggling just to spend their monthly wages. It goes almost immediately after they get paid with rent and this and that.
Commodity prices have gone up so much.
We don't have rent control in the UK, so people can be charged anything. And I know in the US, rent control is something, especially in New York, I believe it's a big thing. So
what are you talking about? There's no rent control in New York.
Isn't there?
I mean, there is in very legacy buildings for tenants who've been here since the 80s, but no. There's no rent control in New York.
There was. I thought you couldn't just charge whatever you want.
My rent has been jacked up, I don't know, since COVID, about 25%.
Oh my god! I thought there was rent control in in the
there
US,
was in
but
San
I am
Francisco.
basing my knowledge on friends.
No. I mean, there are in that era there were some rent controlled apartments now, but there's been no new ones added to the market, so it's only whatever. Back to airline classes. Yeah, it's just so ugly the way that they sort of force people into these groups and people buy into it and then they feel better than, like, could you imagine feeling better than someone because you're in group 4 instead of 5? Like, of all the things, and people do. And
what's funny is you feel better than them for that 7 hours. As soon as you get off and you get off the plane and you go to the baggage hall, you're no longer better than them. That period of feeling better than that person has lasted for the duration of the flight. When you get out of the airport, you're back to class, whatever it is.
And you've paid for the pleasure of it. Either you've paid to be in the earlier boarding group, paid for the better seats, or you're such a loyal program in the United Loyalty Program or whatever, that yes, they'll put you in the front of the plane, but that's because you've flown with them 50 times. You know, you've still paid for it. Or you're a sucker to get an airline credit card, which, they make money off of if you're late on a payment. So, yeah, it's just such an ugly reflection of capitalism, and I hate it. And when people are like, what group are you in, to figure out whether they can cut in front of me, I always say, like, 75. And then they're like, can I see your ticket? I'm like, no. And I just stand where I'm standing.
Yeah. It's brilliant. They must love you in the airline queues. But now they've because they've got like airline lounges, which, you go in before the board or whatever. And because they gave them away with so many people with credit cards, even them, the people that paid to get into them say that they've become lower class because every class can get into them now. They used to be like the solace of the rich, but now because anybody can get into them, they've now started to complain. It's fantastic.
And like, why show up at the airport of all places, a horrible place by all measures, 4 hours early, just so you can go to that crappy lounge and get a free pre-made sandwich, and you have to pay to get in. It's yes, the lounge is better than sitting in the seats by the gate, but it's not that good.
Exactly. It's unbelievable. How much pretzels and free Diet Coke can you drink for $30?
That's the great rhetorical question. Tony 5, thanks for being here. Appreciate your time.
David, this has been an economical analysis from Tony 5, here from London.
In a few moments' time, it's travel, travel, travel. We'll go through some hilarious, some odd, and some interesting headlines from the travel industry, including one woman who tried to eat a flight attendant. That's coming up with a vacation expert next. It's travel. Sorry, I'm about to start. Are you ready to start?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's travel. We are going to discuss headlines and stories from that industry with the president of Travel Best Bets. Her name is Claire Newell. Claire, thanks for talking to me today. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. There's lots of great little news stories going on in the world of travel.
Look, United flight attendants, they look and sound delicious to eat, but maybe we shouldn't bite them. Well, unless you're one particular passenger in the news lately.
Oh, geez. I'm. If you saw me, my eyes are rolling. This was an incredibly brutal story. I've heard all sorts of in-flight aggression and people being disruptive. Normally it involves alcohol. But this was a United Airlines flight that was supposed to go from Miami to New Jersey. It took an unscheduled landing into Orlando. And this woman, basically, she wasn't allowed to get to the bathroom. But she went crazy. She was verbally and then physically abusive to a family at the back of the plane. That's how it started. Then they moved her to the middle of the plane and she was yelling and cursing at everybody. And, that really didn't help getting her to a different location. She was throwing punches. She spat on a flight attendant. I mean, how disgusting.
Yes.
And it just kind of got worse and worse. And in the scuffle with a flight attendant, she actually bit and tore off a piece of fabric. And finally, it got so bad that the flight attendants had to cuff her and she resisted the cuffs. She was biting and kicking and spitting and swearing. And eventually she was removed and everyone started applauding, as they would. But they were delayed. The whole passenger list was delayed 3.5 hours because of this woman. I don't know. It doesn't say if there was alcohol involved. One would think, but it was a nightmare for everyone.
What is happening on airlines now that flight attendants are carrying handcuffs? It used to be that the videos we would see of unruly passengers, they'd be restrained using like makeshift clothing, maybe duct tape if somebody had it on their carry-on. Now it's such an expected thing that certain flight attendants have the handcuffs to restrain people.
And so aircraft actually has so many things that you as a passenger and I guess the public don't realize. I mean, I've been on a flight where there were medical devices that were pulled out. There are always handcuffs. There's usually a person who is taking care of it, like a police type officer on board aircraft at any given time. So yeah, there are all sorts of things on, including handcuffs if they need it. I have seen zip ties be used as well.
A classic example of that is ashtrays. Smoking, of course, not allowed on airplanes. You can get arrested for it. But if someone has a dangerous and lit cigarette that could maybe create a fire, there is an ashtray in the bathroom. And that's always so funny to me. I've wondered why that was there, but I was told it's there just in case somebody is stupid enough to light a cigarette. There's somewhere to put it out. Even though it's right next to the sign that says "Do not smoke," it's sort of counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But I'm really aging myself. But I remember being on aircraft where they would sit the smokers at the back of an aircraft, like that was going to help. I could barely breathe because there was so much smoke. Those days are long gone, and it really ages me by saying that. But it was, it used to be that you'd have the ashtrays by every seat. It was crazy.
Okay, let's go to the United States. We're talking unexpected things on airplanes. What is going on in the U.S.? It looks like that the TSA has intercepted over 3,000 firearms in the first half of this year. Look, I know there's a lot of Americans. It's hard for me to really get into the mindset that are law-abiding gun owners. They don't plan on shooting people. They just kind of want to carry their gun, whatever. I don't agree with it, but it happens. But what's going on in the culture that they think it's okay to try to bring it into the airport and bring it onto the plane?
I have no idea, but this number is pretty much on par with the first 6 months of 2023 last year. It basically is an average of 20 a day. The scariest part of all this, David, is that 94% were loaded. And okay, you're allowed to carry a firearm in your checked luggage. Should be locked, should not be loaded. But the thing that scares me the most is if these people are taking these firearms and they know they're not supposed to put it in their carry-on bag, but it's in there anyway. It's loaded. Like what? It just is frightening to me that there are that many people walking around with loaded guns and knowing they're not supposed to have it going through the checkpoint.
It's so crazy to me. Let's say half of them are not well in the head, whatever. I mean, maybe they are. But I would love to see an interview of a rational individual who wasn't planning on committing any crimes. They just wanted to have their firearm on them. I would love to see the TSA agent say to them, "What were you thinking?" and hear what the response is, because I can't even imagine what that response would be.
I can't either. And on top of that, you have to be, licensed, and you want if you're going to license someone, you want them to know exactly where their firearm is at all times, and you want them to use it responsibly. None of this is responsible. You're not allowed to take it through a checkpoint, and you're not allowed to have it loaded. So what is going on? Anyway, I hope people listen and they just are aware the next time they're crossing the border, going on an aircraft, they don't take their firearm, or at least don't take it in their carry-on bag.
Or like me, just don't own one, and that's
me too.
Problem
I'm with
solved.
you. I'm with you.
Okay, we're talking U.S. airports. Let's talk Canada and U.S. airports. Every year there's a world ranking published, and the U.S. surprisingly did well, and Canada, I guess not so unsurprisingly, did poorly. This comes sort of as a delay after all these negative reports we were hearing across the country, in particularly Toronto Pearson, where things were just really bad during the pandemic. Are you surprised by this particular report?
Well, no. First of all, AirHelp puts out this global airport ranking every single year. They look at about 240 airports, 69 countries around the world, and on-time performance accounts for 60%. So I wasn't really surprised. For those who are interested, Doha in Qatar came out on top, and they scored out of a possible 10, 8.52, which is great. Cape Town was second, 8.5. And then Nagoya Chibu in Japan was third. But Toronto fared so badly. In fact, Toronto Pearson was 227th out of 240, remember? And Toronto's Billy Bishop Airport, the little one in the center of town, that was the top Canadian finisher with 7.57, which is not that bad. But they were still 124th. And between that was Calgary at like 132nd, Vancouver at 177th. It's just not great, especially when U.S. airports did really, really well. All the way from 8th to 18th was just full of U.S. airports. Like Salt Lake City was 8th. Dulles was 11th, Detroit 15th, Atlanta 16th, Minneapolis 17th, and Nashville 18th. So US doing really well.
I want to talk about LaGuardia here in New York because I remember flying in and out of it as a kid, visiting where I live when I didn't live here. And I remember the first time I went to LaGuardia, it was like this derelict public facility. I basically thought I was in a war zone. And I don't know, it was pretty sheltered. I grew up in Toronto. I didn't have any concept for how bad an airport could be until I flew into LaGuardia. And I just bring this up because after the most recent renovation, I was shocked at how nice it was. And I was shocked to find that it's like one of the best airports in the world now. Talk about like a complete 180.
Yeah, complete 180. I was with you. All three airports that if people who are going, especially from Canada into New York, LaGuardia, Newark, JFK. JFK was such a star and LaGuardia was such a hole. And then now all of a sudden it's a beautiful airport. Do you remember the ceilings so low? And there was just nowhere to buy anything.
Something about waiting in a line with tons of people packed by the gate with a low ceiling. I don't care how.
I agree.
If I'm crammed in like cattle, but the ceiling is 30 feet high, I feel like I'm in an airy, stress-free environment, even if I'm not. And if I'm packed in with a low ceiling, like I get like a full panic. And that's how LaGuardia used to feel.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. The other one that was like that, there were certain parts of LAX. There were areas where you would go down a wing and it would just get low ceilings, no windows. It was just so freaky to me. I have claustrophobia at the best of times, and it was horrible going in. And again, 180. It's a really beautiful airport now.
Claire, I want to talk about one more thing that you mentioned before I started rolling here. Early moons. I've never heard of this. What are early moons?
Okay, well, it's a kind of a trend on social media. So if you're big on social media and you're in that age group where people are getting married, it's these couples that are opting for kind of short, sweet, affordable pre-wedding honeymoons before the big day. Basically, they want to check in with each other. And then because so many couples are spending a lot on their weddings, they're hoping to delay and postpone their honeymoon so that they can save for this bigger, longer trip, but they still want to get away. So I feel like there's all these moons. So there's these early moons now, the short, sweet, affordable, the big honeymoon. And then once they start a family, they have a baby moon. That's just before the baby arrives so that they can check in with each other. I guess celebrate the fact that they won't have a baby in tow. It's a very different travel experience. So yeah, it all means travel. I feel like this age group, people get married at all ages, but the vast majority seem to be kind of between 25 and 40. They love and prioritize travel so much. So they're trying to get in as many as they can.
When my ex and I split separately without discussing it, we took like big international trips. I guess that was my divorce moon.
A divorce moon. There you go.
So for couples trying this trend, which I guess is short, sweet, cheap, any locations you recommend for a early moon?
Well, what we're seeing is a lot of people doing kind of a city state, a lot of big cities. So Nashville, New York, LA, a lot of like kind of quickie beach getaways within North America. Some are going a little further afield. So they're going into Mexico, maybe Cabo, Cancun, or the Riviera Maya area. And then there are others who think that, I guess, Hawaii is affordable in their budget. So we're seeing basically within a 5-hour flight is what we're seeing.
Claire, thanks so much for talking to me today.
Thanks for having me, David.
That was Travel, Travel, Travel with Claire Newell. She's the president of Travel Best Bets. That's the show. I hope you liked it. I'll be back July 29th. Wish me a happy vacation. Seriously, do that out loud right now, especially if you're in public.